A very useful and important way to think about reasoning is to focus on modeling information updates. So to illustrate, let's think about this following simple example. Suppose that Anne, Bob, and Carla are at a restaurant having dinner, and the waiter takes their drink order. Now let's suppose that Anne orders red wine, Bob orders white wine, and Carla orders a beer. Now, a little bit later, a different waiter returns with a red wine, a white wine, and a beer. So the waiter is holding those three drinks. And now, the waiter, of course, doesn't know who ordered which drink, so the waiter needs to ask some questions. So the waiter first says, who ordered the red wine? And Anne says that she ordered it. And then the waiter said, who ordered the white wine? And Bob, of course, will say that he ordered the white wine. Now, after learning who ordered the red wine and the white wine, the waiter can simply infer that Carla ordered a beer. The waiter doesn't need to ask a third question, who ordered the beer, because that follows by reasoning, by drawing an inference. So let's think about how we might model this situation. What we want to model is this waiter's uncertainty and how this uncertainty is resolved after receiving some information. Now, the first thing we're going to do is figure out how to represent the uncertainty of the waiter. That is, the initial uncertainty of the waiter. So in order to do that, let's let R represent the statement, Anne ordered a red wine. And let W represent the statement that Bob ordered the white wine. And finally, B represent the statement, Carla ordered a beer. So the actual situation is represented by this sequence RWB, meaning Anne ordered red wine, Bob ordered white wine, and Carla ordered a beer. Now, of course, the waiter is uncertain. The waiter isn't certain that this is the actual situation. The waiter doesn't know who ordered which drink. So we can represent that in the following way. So Anne could have ordered either a red wine, a white wine, or a beer. And any of these three is a possibility for the waiter. After figuring out what Anne ordered, then Bob could have ordered either a white wine or a beer. So given that Anne ordered a red wine, then there are two possibilities for Bob. He either could have ordered a white wine or he could have ordered a beer. Given that Anne ordered a white wine, Bob could have ordered a red wine or he could have ordered a beer. And then finally, once we figure out what drinks Anne and Bob have, then it's determined what drink Carla has. So if Anne ordered the red wine and Bob ordered a beer, then it has to be the case that Carla ordered a white wine. Now, each of these branches in this tree here, you can think of this as like a little decision tree or tree of uncertainty. Each of these branches corresponds to a possibility that the waiter considers. And we can represent it by a sequence of R, W, and B. So the first one, RWB, this is the actual situation. Anne ordered red wine, Bob ordered white wine, and Carla ordered beer. But the waiter considers all six of these situations as possibilities. The waiter isn't certain. It could have been the case that Anne ordered white wine, for example, and then maybe Bob ordered a beer, and then finally Carla would have ordered a red wine. So each of these six situations represents a possibility that the waiter considers. Now, focusing on these six possibilities, this is the waiter's initial uncertainty set. These are all the distribution of drinks to the customers that the waiter initially considers possible. Now, the waiter asks the question, who ordered red wine? And Anne responds that she ordered red wine. So how does this change the waiter's uncertainty set? Well, the waiter knows that it can't be this possibility because in this possibility, Anne ordered white wine. So the waiter can remove that possibility or ignore that possibility. Similarly, the waiter can ignore this possibility because this also is a situation in which Anne ordered white wine. And finally, the waiter can, of course, remove the last two possibilities because in those possibilities, Anne ordered beer. So after learning that Anne ordered red wine, this causes the waiter to update his or her uncertainty set by removing some possibilities. But some uncertainty remains, because the waiter still is uncertain about who ordered the white wine, whether or not it was Bob or Carla. So the waiter again has to ask the question, who ordered the beer, or who ordered the white wine? And Bob will say that he ordered the white wine, and given that information, the waiter can then again remove this possibility, because the waiter learned that Bob ordered white wine, not beer. And so the waiter updates his or her uncertainty set. And finally, now we can really see visually here why the waiter doesn't need to ask an additional question, who ordered the beer? Because all of the waiter's uncertainty is removed, and all that remains is the single possibility in which it's certain the waiter is certain that Ann ordered red wine, Bob ordered white wine, and Carla must have ordered the beer. Now, to summarize, we learned that after learning that Ann ordered red wine and Bob ordered white wine, the waiter infers or concludes that Carla must have ordered a beer. And we can represent schematically this inference that the waiter draws as follows. We can say R or W or B, not R, not W, so therefore B. That is, this is the inference the waiter makes about the drink that Carla ordered. So the waiter initially is uncertain. Carla ordered either red wine or white wine or beer. Then the waiter learns that Carla did not order red wine, and then the waiter learns that Carla did not order white wine. And so then the waiter infers or concludes that Carla must have ordered beer. Another way to express this inference is to represent it as we just did, where we start with an initial set of possibilities, 6 possibilities, and every time you get a new piece of information, you rule out some possibilities until you're left with only one possibility. The only possibility is this one right here, where Ann ordered red wine, Bob ordered white wine, and Carla ordered beer.